the way to think about this is that the mind is, in every moment, it's choosing what to pay attention to based on what would have previously helped us survive and reproduce. So it's got certain programs running that make it predisposed towards things that are flashy, bright, novel, changes in our environment, or thoughts that trigger some kind of emotion that might have, helped us survive and reproduce. And the point is that all mental events are conditioned based on previous memories, based on evolutionary psychology, like basically the genes we inherited from our parents, as well as epigenetics. And the point is there's a cause and condition for the agitation, like we talked about at the beginning. The problem, in other words, can be traced back to these series of causal relationships that are occurring in every moment in the mind to produce the agitation. And so understanding this will help us find the solution. And, this was really considered to be the core teaching of the historical Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, right? He wasn't just some myth or legend. This was like a historical figure. You could think of him as the first psychologist, really. He was like that. He was like that curious kid who just keeps asking why. Like, why is the mind agitated? Okay, well, craving, but then why craving? Why craving, mom? So he just kept tracing back this series of dependent arisings or reactivity in the mind. And this is one of the key uses of mindfulness, is to see this process playing out, right? My teacher, Bhante Vimalaramsi, defines mindfulness as remembering to observe how mind's attention moves from one thing to the next. Another way of stating this is remembering to observe the chain of causality as it's happening in your experience. And the way that we're able to do this is by collecting the mind, as we did at the beginning, collecting the mind around an object, but not too tightly, not focusing on something so tightly that you can't see this process occurring. Because we want to see this process over and over again and learn to let go of the craving. And that's how the agitation in the mind will slowly be reconditioned. Right. So I'll pause there again and just see if there's any questions, or I'm looking in the chat and people have been writing a lot of useful stuff too. I mean, these all play a role, right? Habits are basically what condition the beginning of this. So the chain of causality, as I mentioned, is 12 links, and habits come after, which comes after craving. So by continually feeding this loop, we're feeding with habits, we're then conditioning the next arising in the next moment. So you eat the chocolate bar, your brain goes, that was good, I'm going to do that again next time that I get the same triggers. And so this definitely plays a role in trauma as well, and sense perceptions. And the idea isn't to understand this intellectually. You could even just, if what I'm saying makes very little sense right now, it's important just to look in your own experience using mindfulness and notice, okay, my mind got distracted. Why did it get distracted? Oh, it liked that thought. It was clutching onto that thought. What if I let that thought go and come back and relax that tension? Then my mind feels more stable now and it feels more at ease. What if I were to just keep doing that and keep letting things go until my mind can relax into the now and actually be here now? So it's a training process, right? It sounds nice to say, just be here now, but it's actually a training that you have to condition. And that is part 2, the solution.
Yeah, and just to echo what you shared, by practicing mindfulness more and more, the more aware we are of how we respond or react to different contact to experience. We start to notice those links between contact and whether something feels pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. See what arises in the mind as a result. We start to see those links happening in real time with more and more nuance, more and more subtlety, and also more and more freedom. Like there's more of a spaciousness where we're not so consumed by what's happening that we're caught in this like existential belief that this is me, or I am this emotion, or this reactivity is right or wrong. But we have more of a spaciousness of mind so that we can see it playing out, and we can kind of hold it lightly and say, oh, interesting. Yeah, like I'm seeing this causality more and more clearly now, and I see what gets me, and I can see where I react, and maybe it can start tracing back to why I react that way, and we have more choice over time because we can start choosing how we respond, and we're able to be with different Vedana or different kinds of sensations or feeling tones without reacting to them or judging them. And so we can observe them, we can notice them and hold them much more lightly, and can choose our response more. So the more we practice mindfulness, the more we see this really clearly, and we start to be able to see all the links in the chain, and that those chains can start unraveling in the sense that they're no longer binding us to some fixed view of how reality is or how reality should be.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Sean. That's exactly right. And yeah, this can happen practically. I've been using the chocolate example, but most often this happen. You might notice a habitual emotion. So you might notice, okay, I'm in traffic, someone's honking behind me. There's that feeling again in my body. It's this uncomfortable feeling like I want to honk back. And then that's where you have a choice about how you respond and whether you feed this chain, whether you feed into it and buy into it like a program, like triggered honk, or do you stop and notice with mindfulness, and then do you choose how to react instead of just responding kind of automatically? And that's what determines whether those links, whether that chain gets stronger or weaker.